Hi, I'm Gustavo Hoyos, a lawyer and a doctor in criminal law. On this channel, you'll find videos every week about legal topics, landmark cases, jurisprudence, compliance, and geopolitics. This space is for everyone, lawyers, students, and anyone who wants to better understand the legal and geopolitical world. Welcome. I want to share knowledge, encourage debate, and answer your questions about legal topics. If you're looking for clear and well-documented information, subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss the upcoming videos. Borders between countries often seem like clear and defined lines on maps, but the reality is much more complex, especially when those lines meet the sea. Today, we're diving into one of the most intriguing territorial controversies in South America, the Land Triangle between Chile and Peru. On the Pacific coast, where the desert meets the ocean, there's a small area of 37,610 square meters that has captured the attention of international law experts for decades. To give you an idea of its size, we're talking about a piece of land equivalent to 5 soccer fields. However, its importance goes far beyond its physical dimensions. The story we're focusing on has its roots in one of the most significant conflicts in South America, the Pacific War between 1879 and 1884. This confrontation radically transformed the map of the region. Chile extended its territory northward, while Peru and Bolivia saw their borders significantly altered. The end of the war didn't mean the end of the tensions. The Ancon Treaty of 1883 was just the first step in a long process of territorial definition. But it was the Lima Treaty of 1929 that established what was supposed to be the definitive solution to the border disputes between Chile and Peru. This is where the story gets fascinating. From a legal perspective, the 1929 treaty established a series of milestones to mark the border. The problem arises when we try to determine exactly where this border line begins as it reaches the sea. Peru argues that the border should start at the so-called Concordia Point, where the line agreed upon in the treaty naturally meets the ocean. Chile, on the other hand, argues that the starting point is at milestone 1, which is about 200 meters further north. This seemingly minor difference creates our famous land triangle. The Peruvian position is based on a literal interpretation of the 1929 treaty. According to this view, the treaty clearly stated that the border would extend to a point on the 2000 coast, Point Concordia. Peru cites history, Chile post-treaty work marking milestone I as the border. Chile, for its part, bases its position on the demarcation work carried out after the treaty. According to this interpretation, milestone I was established as the practical point where the border begins, taking into account the geographical realities and the natural fluctuation of the coastline. In 2014, the International Court of Justice added a new chapter to this story by resolving a dispute over the maritime boundaries between the two countries. The ruling significantly changed the maritime border, but it explicitly left the issue of the land triangle unresolved. This decision had an interesting effect. While it resolved one controversy, it indirectly fueled another. The new maritime delimitation raised questions about its relationship with the exact point where the land border begins. What does this dispute mean in practice? The area in question is patrolled by Chilean forces, although Peru maintains its claim over it. Beyond physical control, the triangle has become a symbol of national sovereignty for both countries. The diplomatic strategies have been remarkably different. Peru has actively sought international forums to resolve the controversy, presenting it as an outstanding issue that needs a solution. Chile has taken a more conservative stance, emphasizing the validity of historical agreements and the principle of border stability. This controversy doesn't exist in a vacuum. South America has a long history of territorial disputes, some resolved and others still pending. The case of the land triangle shows us how these conflicts can persist, even when relations between countries are generally positive. The lessons learned from resolving other territorial disputes in the region could provide clues about possible paths to a solution. Geography plays a crucial role in this controversy. The coastline in this area is dynamic, affected by tides and natural changes in the terrain. This adds an additional layer of complexity to the interpretation of historic treaties that were based on geographical conditions nearly a century ago. Advances in technology and geodetic measurement now allow us to have a more accurate understanding of the disputed territory, although this doesn't necessarily simplify its legal resolution. How could this controversy be resolved? International experience shows us several paths: direct negotiation between the parties, international mediation, international arbitration, or the development of joint projects that go beyond the dispute. The solution will likely require legal creativity and political will from both sides. The land triangle case teaches us several important lessons about international law. Precision in international treaties is crucial, but even the most detailed agreements can give rise to divergent interpretations. Territorial disputes are rarely about territory. They involve history, national identity, and principles of international law. Resolving international disputes requires both legal rigor and political and cultural sensitivity. And so, this small triangle of land along the Pacific remains a reminder of the complexity of international relations and border law. His story shows us that in international law, as in so many other fields, the most important answers often arise from the smallest questions. What do you think about this controversy? How do you think it could be resolved, while respecting the interests of both countries? Leave your comments and don't forget to subscribe for more analysis on international law and relations between countries. Thanks for sticking around. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up and share it with anyone you think might be interested. Subscribe so you don't miss my weekly videos on law, interesting cases, jurisprudence, compliance, and geopolitics. See you in the next one. Your opinion matters, so leave me your questions or comments, and I'll take them into account for future videos. This space is for learning and debating together. See you soon.